in the instance of a steamroll situation, right, where they just shovel on past, declare you guilty, whatever it is, and don't give you any, that wasn't a hearing, right? So you want to be clear that this isn't a hearing. You don't want to make any inference that this is a hearing that you're getting right now. And you should be discussing pretty continuously, hey, when am I going to get a hearing for this, by the way? And they'll say, well, this is your hearing here, right? Really? I thought a hearing had blah, blah, blah. Notice, opportunity to be heard, things like this, right? It's an evidentiary, isn't it? You know, this seems to just be a hearing.
Mr. Capps, you're not understanding. The officer just said you were speeding. We're standing here. I've got 300 people ahead or behind you. How do you plead? You want to appeal this thing because I've already found that you're responsible. So get out. Go pay the if you have a problem with it, go see the next judge up. Pay the $160 at the
is tomorrow
rather than going through that, we understand that the steamroll happened.
I had that said to me.
I understand that given that the steamroll happened, okay, and you've hopefully my point for what I just said is that you've made a point to speak about the fact that you would intend to get a hearing and that this wasn't one, right? So now he's shoved you out the building, right? You're outside the building now. You've spoken about the fact that you wanted a hearing and, you know, things like that. And they've spoken about the fact that that was supposedly a hearing and things like that. And that your only other option is to appeal it or pay the $150 or whatever. Appeal it, pay the $150 or pay the fine that he just assessed. Yep. That's the only two options that they made note of, mentioned.
Right. When you pay the fine, that is your appeal bond if you choose to appeal. You pay the fine, you have the option.
Hold on. Yeah, so we're all very clear about the options that they are presenting to you.
Yep. Go ahead.
Much like the do you plead guilty or not guilty, those are the only two options they present to you. They're not going to clarify options that they don't like for you to take, right? Okay. So we need to look behind the bushes and figure out what are the ones that they're hiding that make logical sense for you to pursue your interests without giving them their interests, which is giving them money, letting them injure you further, throwing money at them in hopes that they'll be more fair if you shower them with money.
Right. Okay. I'm eager. I want to hear this.
So other than their two options of screwed this way or screwed that way, what makes sense for you to do? Okay. Now, again, we're making the point that you didn't get anything near an arraignment, you didn't get anything near a hearing, that due process has not occurred. So don't pretend it did and that you're at the appeal step.
Okay.
So my answer is always clarify. So how do you clarify in a situation?
Because it's done now. You kicked out. Yep.
What would you do? What would you do in the instance where you got a packet of paperwork from a city you've never been in saying that you went to this hearing and got found guilty and didn't argue your case well enough and blah, blah, blah? What would you do knowing that you weren't the person that they actually, you know, in this hypothetical situation where you were never in that city, right? Would you go to an appeal process? Would you go and say, well, I better appeal that? Or would you say, I better clarify what the hell why they think that I went through some due process?
That's interesting because that still is in my, I have a year before the thing is expired, which will be September 18th, and I'm the same boat. I like this.
So you're clarifying with who's making the assertion? Well, probably the clerk at this point is making the assertion that you got a hearing, right?
Say that again, please. Start over.
It's probably the clerk who's making the assertion that you've been to a hearing, that you've had a hearing on this issue.
Yep, okay. And it's resolved, and here's the position.
That there's been due process, and it's been a disposition, and it's been resolved. She's probably telling you that you've had your day in court, and blah, blah, blah. You and I know that this is probably not correct.
Right.
But she's making that assertion. Okay, just clarify. You mean by hearing something that doesn't involve due process, correct?
You're going to ask the clerk
no.
that?
The clerk, yes.
Okay.
We're clarifying. The person making the assertion to you is the one who you clarify to and who you figure out if it's arbitrary or based upon evidence. Right?
And you're going to do that with the clerk?
Whoever's making the assertion. Who's telling you that you had your day in court?
Okay, I don't know about you, but I've run into clerks and the city people that they're not going to have this conversation with you. But
I understand that. But they are going to manage to make the assertion, right?
Yeah, of course.
See, they want to make an assertion without any question. That's everybody. That's every cop, every bureaucrat, every judge, every clerk, every politician, everyone who wants to spout shit. Wants to make their assertion as a parting shot.
I've been city clerk for quite a few years, and the only way that you're going to be heard by the next judge is if you put up your bond. If you want an appeal and you want to be heard, what do you want to do?
Before we get to that stage, I'm trying to clarify what the current situation is. I'm not yet interested in talking about the next step. I'm trying to figure out what the current situation is. Can you help me clarify this? Because there's some muddiness in this record here.
Sir, I'm not here to... I can't give you legal advice, sir.
I'm not asking you for legal advice. Please don't give me legal advice.
Sir, I'm not the court. I'm not here to argue with you. All I know is I have the only option you're going to have is to pay the bond so that you can be heard at the next date, or don't.
Well, again, you keep going to what's next, and I'm trying to clarify what is currently the situation. So if you would please put off the topic of what's next, I'll decide that on my own. I don't need your advice. What I need from you is the current state of what's going on.
Security, could you remove this man, please?
And you're presuming I'm doing this in person. I'm doing this by paper.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. So like a motion to the clerk.
Kind of. A request for clarification of the record.
From the clerk? I never heard of that. Interesting.
I've done it several times.
And the clerk does have...
I had clerks sending me paperwork constantly about who my judge was going to be. And I'd ask for clarification. I said, I didn't actually request a judge of my position. Who is this person and why is he judging anything at all? You know, and suddenly dates would go away and new judges, then they'd come back and do it all over again.
Wow. These are angles I've never heard of, Gary. Sorry.
Here's the thing. Well, it was very strange. The biggest strange thing that was going on was people who were telling me I was crazy, right? I'm getting this paperwork back from courts and I'm going, now, how crazy is it that I'm saying this doesn't make sense, but they keep backing off, waiting a minute, and writing me a whole new set of paperwork making the same assertions, you know? And then I ask for clarification, and then they back off and
from the clerk.
Reround it again. And, clerks and stuff.
Wow. And I know the clerk, I mean, if you read what the clerk is supposed to do, they really are kind of between you and the judge. They do have responsibilities.
Their responsibility is about the record and what's going on, and keeping up that, you know. And again, their responsibility is what is the current status of this, you know, what's going on. And you're like, well, you know, you just as simple as, hey, why don't we have a hearing scheduled? Well, because it's already been disposed. Really? Was there a hearing without my presence? No, you were there. Really? Because I don't have any record of any hearing.
That's fucking
slick. You see, you're getting them to stick their foot in their mouth.
I never thought of
like, wait a minute. The only thing I had was this informal thing that had no due process with it at all. Are you calling that a hearing? Yes. Wait a minute. Doesn't a hearing have due process? No. Wait, are you sure? You know, what are they going to say? Yes or no? You know what I mean?
That's a pretty slick idea.
You're backing them into a corner. Okay. In the instance of a steamroll situation,